disgusting and depraved stuff I've ever seen in my life. I'm talking evil incarnate. The Epstein files just got way worse, y'all. They keep getting worse. This rabbit hole seems to be never ending. I'm talking about stuff with babies. I'm talking about stuff with the nature of the food these people would eat, hunting parties, potential terrorist attacks and conspiracy theories related to those that are involved, and election interference. We're going down an even deeper rabbit hole than we ever could have imagined. After Pam Bondi's pathetic and disgraceful attempt at a hearing, people started looking into more files and found way more shit than we thought was there. It just keeps getting more and more incriminating as you go down the line. Apparently, and this is false information, might I add, the DOJ released all the files. All the files are out, and all the unredacted names are out. The entire list is out. Both of these things are false, by the way. They released a list. They didn't shy away from putting names like Trump on that list. You got Clintons, you got Bidens, you got all sorts of people on here. But people started noticing something very, very interesting about this. Various congressmen saw this and were like, what the hell is this? Are you guys muddying the waters intentionally with names that are irrelevant? Because the DOJ included names that Epstein might have mentioned in passing. I'm talking about names like Marilyn Monroe and Elvis Presley, who he could not have possibly done anything with on an island. Marilyn Monroe, I think she died when Epstein was like a teenager or 9. Elvis Presley, there's some other people that would have been dead. So people are asking, wait, did Pam Bondi just take a list of all the names that were mentioned ever, put them in this list, just for the purposes of saying, hey,
Pam Bondi is a disgrace. She's like defending the worst crap. She's like being, and Thomas Massey was like, hey, this is creepy. This is suspicious. It's like, I look at the stock market has increased. Well, the stock market has increased. You see? Well, let's not look at any of this.
Some people might have been involved, some people aren't, but you know for a fact there are people mentioned.
Pam Bondi is just horrible. This disgraceful. This is just evil.
That aren't involved. So you can't look into any of these specific people because not all of these people were involved with Epstein like that. So this is the list. Here you go. But nothing can be done because it's all very blurred and half of them are names that are not relevant and just referenced by Epstein. And nothing's going to be done about the other half, which is the more incriminated one. It's very evident that this is what happened because Pam Bondi put her own name. She put Thomas Massey's name, right? Just as an excuse to say, hey, haha, your name's on this too. And oh, my name's on this too. And we couldn't possibly have done anything with Epstein. So we can't really look at this list. But that's all we have, folks. So see, nothing to see here. They think they're being smart and they think they can fool the general public, which to be honest, there's a lot of people obtuse, by the way, by believing any of this shit. They even say right above the list, while other individuals are mentioned only in a portion of the document, that on its face is unrelated to the Epstein and Maxwell matters. So in summary, nothing's going to be done about any of the names of this list because, oh, they're blurred lines everywhere. Not all of them can be accounted for. It's not all relevant to Epstein. So anyways, that's all we have. But funnily enough, there are still some names missing. Some very important names. Conveniently missing, like the Rothschilds. I know for a fact there's at least one member of that family that was in an email with Epstein or an associate. And they were also referenced and mentioned. So why aren't they
sounds suspicious
there? Why isn't Elon Musk's brother there? There are some people missing that clearly were on the emails but aren't there. Interesting. A bunch of fans of this administration, let's just say that, are saying, oh, see, they released all the files. False. We have seen 1% of the files, and it's going to be proven in a minute. Trump's been vindicated. How? Who? Where? What? Even if you say, oh, look at all the Democrats on this list, it backfired on them. Trump's name is on the list. Several family members of his are on the list. Nobody has been vindicated or excommunicated as a result of anything that was shown here. And we have a lot of pundits and influencers literally copy-pasting the exact script and spamming it everywhere on social media. Oh, see, they released all the files. Nothing was done. Trump.
Yeah. Let me just look. Yeah, just this is just no. Why, Alex? Why are you defending Pam Bundy? I mean, come on. Damn it. Pam Bondi is like a disgrace. She is nothing. She is pathetic.
Has been vindicated. Like, what the hell is this? This is bullshit. That's been sus as hell and been playing cover for Elon is fact checking these people, saying no. This is just a list of names. They have not released any more files. Pam Bondi has not released shit since her hearing. Will you have people, both Republicans and Democrats, coming out saying Trump blocked the release of the files? Yes, they're being released right now under his administration because by law it has to be. And even then, they're not releasing all of them. And even then, they're scrubbing them and redacting the names. Where is common sense? Where's critical thinking? Is it gone? Oh, it's all fake, though. It's all fake. Oh, good. Okay. Nobody in either party wanted this to be released, to be clear. This goes back decades. Multiple administrations are involved. That doesn't mean this administration also isn't
Oh yeah,
involved.
it also involves Clinton. Many people.
You fucking idiots. House Representative Nancy Mace is looking into the CIA documents because that's supposed to provide a lot more information. I fully expect her to be killed. Now we're going to go into the crazy conspiracy stuff that the Epstein files have embroiled themselves in, because a lot of people saw some very questionable shit, specifically in regards to an event that took place September 11th. I'm not going to say it because I don't want to get demonetized. But so let me just read. I'm just reading shit, guys. No defamation. So Ghislaine Maxwell replied to somebody asking if she was interested on being the Shadow Commission on 9/11. The membership list is secret. Ghislaine said, I cannot be on the Shadow Commission. Okay. Somebody sent this to Ghislaine Maxwell saying, where is the real pilot? Notice the date here. And then there's another email with a subject. This is Liev Schreiber. I don't know if this is the actor Liev, because that's the only Liev Schreiber I know. If it is, my lord. No defamation. I'm not saying that is. I really hope it isn't, because I actually like that actor. How are you, Liev? In this email chain with the subject line saying New World Trade Center building, September 17th, 2001. Another email, the month after, from Ghislaine Maxwell. In the year 2032, a father and his son walk the streets of Lower Manhattan, approaching the site where the WTC used to be in the end of the 20th century. The father sighs and comments to think that right here used to be the Twin Towers. The son, not understanding, asks his father, what are the Twin Towers? The father smiles and looks at the son and explains the Twin Towers were two huge buildings that used to be here until 2001, when the Arabs destroyed them. The son looks up to his father and asks, and what are the Arabs? Take that to mean what you will, but I'm going to say there are a lot of references in these emails about what Ghislaine and Jeffrey might have thought about Arabs, and references to eradicating them as a whole. And I'm not saying any of this means anything about those events that took place on that fateful, terrifying day in American history. I'm not saying anything. We know there are a lot of conspiracies related to what really happened that day and who was really behind that. I am not here to talk about that. I'm just reading shit. I'm not making any conclusions. None. This is not evidence of anything. Okay? There's a list of Illuminati families and associates. I don't know who cultivated this list. I don't know where this is from. But Jeffrey Epstein was a member of the Illuminati North American group. I don't know. I don't know. Somehow Epstein is related to every conspiracy known to man. Okay? Here's another weird sus email. So somebody's talking about the school trip. This is, I was planted in the presidential suite overseeing food supply and watching 4 weddings and a funeral. None of us knew what 100 screaming kids would look like. But now we know. My colleagues say that now they finally know the only thing that can overpower my voice, 100 screaming kids. We almost lost a kid this time, coming back from redacted. Could it be Zorro's ranch? Could it be an island? Could it be the White House? Could it be... Who knows? Late at night, a kid needed to do some personal business and the bus stopped in the desert. Sounds like they were going on a ranch somewhere. The kid got out and went to a ditch. The bus took off. Luckily, a bus behind stopped. That would just not have looked good on the front page of New York Times. The acceptance rate would not be 100% as it currently is. I don't know what this is or what this means. A lot of people have, laid out conspiracies about, missing kids in a ranch in the middle of the desert. Who knows? I'm just reading shit that sounds sus. This TikToker looked into the Epstein files and found another thing that was interesting. Epstein talks a lot about a specific chemical within something called trumpet plants, which are very toxic, okay? He talks a lot about them and references to using them. The chemicals in trumpet plants have been historically and criminally used to incapacitate people and alter their mental state in a form of control. These plants contain high concentrations of potent... I've seen videos recently. They've been coming after me, and they're not even giving it a chance to have an appeal yet. So, dinner now, what could they be talking about? Who knows? We know there's a lot of code names for food. At least people theorize as much. Political administration. It could be administration for anything. Business administration, all that. Okay, maybe. Probably fucking not. Now, this doesn't mean Trump himself went to the island, but many of his staff did go. And it's already proven that he had communication with somebody on Trump's staff. So they're all involved. Also, Stephen Harper, once a leader of Canada, was given $1 million in an account, in the financial statement. It's turned my world inside out. I need to do this. So if you're interested, email me and we'll get it going.
You work hard for your money. Now let it work for you.
This is why God gonna give.
Hey internets, this is going to be a video about the Epstein files, specifically a video dedicating to refuting some of the latest nonsense and
Yay, Mentis.
bad takes about it you may have heard recently, as the Justice Department recently released a searchable massive email dump to the Epstein case, which has resulted in the internet just kind of losing their minds for the last few weeks. Because unfortunately, in a high-profile case like this, there is unfortunately a very high incentive for people to just kind of lie about things.
True.
And then for other people to just kind of spread the lies that align with their ideology and preconceived notions without really trying to understand anything or checking where those facts come from. And of course, spoiler alert, the mainstream media has once again proven that they are definitely not immune to this. And so this general conversation surrounding the Epstein files has been kind of muddied by a lot of garbage. And thus it is time to take some of that trash out, so to speak. But first I'll just start things out with a quick rundown before getting into the debunkings. In case you haven't been keeping up with politics, Jeffrey Epstein is a case that is the epitome of our financial and political elite class doing some extremely perverted, horrible things, and then using their elite status to get away with those horrible things. Jeffrey Epstein can be best explained as an elite financier with massive ties to global elites. And he, alongside Maxwell, are accused of running a large-scale sex trafficking operation that was mainly targeting vulnerable underage girls, and basically pimping them out to other global elites. And he kind of took advantage of a lot of the usual problems that a lot of teenage girls have. For example, offering them the promise of some kind of major high-paying modeling gig, taking advantage of many young girls' desire to just get their name out in the world, only to then just sexually exploit them and then throw them out on the streets. Or at least that's what these allegations against him seem to suggest. And then when he got caught and as he was awaiting jail, he just kind of mysteriously died, all the while likely knowing the names of many of said global elites that he was pimping said underage girls to.
I think Epstein's still alive. He didn't kill himself. He's still alive.
Just before Epstein was about to spill the beans on them in court. Gee, how convenient for them. Nothing suspicious about that at all. And so this, of course, incited a lot of public outrage, along with the conspiracy theory voted most likely to be conspiracy fact of the year 2019. Epstein didn't kill himself. But really, the whole thing is just the epitome of a tale.
I mean, it's not something new, but it's just happening right now. All this bullshit, all this evil crap.
As old as time. Unfortunately, a lot of times the people who manage to claw their way into power in society aren't exactly the best individuals out there.
True.
Of character. And so the tale of the high-class corrupt old pervert using his status and connections to abuse girls who are too young to know any better, well, unfortunately, the Jeffrey Epstein case is really just the latest installment. It's pretty safe to say that this has happened many, many times in human history, and a lot of people, myself included, are just kind of tired of it. But unfortunately, this state of being tired of it also tends to lead people to kind of lose their minds over it. And that's likely one of the reasons we're seeing a lot of misinformation and sometimes just outright disinformation being spread around on this. So let's get started with the first bad take, which is people thinking that it's a nothing burger now. And there's many reasons why a lot of people are thinking it's a nothing burger. Some of it is just the general Chud law of nothing ever happens. But a lot of it is people just kind of jaded because of how often this tends to happen in human history. And thus, to some degree, it's just history repeating itself. And thus, it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things because the root cause of it is just the human condition. And you can't perfect the human condition. And therefore, the Epstein case is just the latest example of this thing that is going to happen, as terrible as it is. And it's just going to happen again and again and again. And you're not really going to help it because human beings are flawed. And you can definitely understand where that mentality is coming from. But the thing is, if you look at history, it's also a bit too pessimistic. Because yes, this has happened before, but the thing is, as time goes on, we as humanity have come up with better ways of dealing with it. there's a cognitive bias known as declinism, I'd like to think that we actually can come up with at least a better way of stopping this kind of behavior amongst corrupt elites. But
Yeah.
another reason some people are saying it's a nothing burger kind of may just come from information overload. So going back to why this has kind of recently exploded again in recent internet discussion, which is the Justice Department in the last month making a lot more emails available in their searchable database of Jeffrey Epstein emails. And so if you've been keeping up with news on social media and on the internet, you've probably seen a bunch of new email leaks and images like this one being posted around. It's because there's a whole bunch of new ones available. A lot of emails available, actually. 3 million new ones, to be specific. Apparently, as of January 30th, 2026, the Department of Justice published an additional 3 million of those pages as a result of that Epstein Files Transparency Act that Trump signed a while ago, bringing the amount of documents to about 3.5 million total. So yeah, for those of you wondering why the discussion around Epstein just suddenly seems to have re-exploded again, this right here is why. And while it's a good thing that they're at least releasing something, the fact that they're releasing so many documents also brings with it the kind of obvious problem that a lot of these documents are just going to be boring and mundane. And so it kind of has the same problem I recall from the Hillary Clinton email dump on WikiLeaks. There's definitely some wrongdoings happening in those emails. emails, but you have to dig through a lot of really dumb emails to find them. A lot of just boring, mundane finance stuff, or notes about what's for dinner, or just random discussions on where someone's going to be on Saturday night, or just general clerical documents that, while kind of important, are also painfully uninteresting. And so what this means is that if you go into the Epstein library and search for some random object, let's just say, word bottles here. Oh look, I get 4,509 results. And most of it is just completely boring, mundane stuff that nobody would really care about. The first 3 results being one, just a request for specific wine bottles. The next one down I got was just about the private jet and bottles of emergency oxygen supply. And then the third one down was just another generic email of someone sending out generic requests for a bunch of specific bottles of wine. Like I said, stuff that most people wouldn't really care. That's because these millions of emails and documents are not really curated in any kind of meaningful way. It's just all of the documents from people that the Justice Department deemed as loosely associated with Jeffrey Epstein enough to include them in this massive dump. Dump. And so a lot of it really is just crap. But that, of course, doesn't mean that there's nothing there. The problem here seems to be people had unrealistic expectations for these leaks. The obvious point of contention.
Obviously, you're not going to leak everything.
Being that a lot of names are redacted that probably
Yeah,
shouldn't be redacted.
just
And this makes a lot of the conversations hard to follow. Is this actually coming from someone close to Epstein? Is it coming from a specific elite? Or is this just some random email he received from some random person spewing nonsense? And it's also an issue because you can't really see who's doing anything wrong when these leaks show a few yikesy things that do show that something definitely was wrong. Like, for example, let's search for something a bit more specific, like gynecologist or women's fertility health. Going through the documents with a bit more of a specific term in mind, we start to see a few more yikesy things. Like this one. Hey, Bella, is there a gynecologist that we normally use for the girls? I need to make blank an appointment. Yeah, nothing suspicious about that one there. Why would you need a gynecologist that you normally use for the girls? And then, of course, why is that name blank? The narrative from the state seems to be that they're protecting victims, but I don't know about you, but it kind of looks like they're more or less protecting the perpetrators here. I mean, sure, a victim's name seems to be redacted as well, but why also redact the from field? And then, of course, there's this one that made the rounds, with a little bit of a misspelling in the gynecologist. Do you remember the name of the gynecologist that you used to send your victims to? Jeffrey Epstein replies, New York? Yes, many years ago, you used to send them to a gyno in New York who once commented something to the effect that you were keeping him in business single-handedly. Yeah, so let's just combine this with the previous email and we can see what's being said here. This take I would have to rank as obviously very ridiculous, and you can't be surprised when people look at that and they start assuming the worst.
On 4chan, and then we seeded it with lots and lots of far-right propaganda. So we use it to kickstart stuff like Gamergate, Pizzagate, QAnon, like every single like right-wing movement that is now
yeah, that's just full nonsense.
metastasized and developed into the modern MAGA crowd. All of it a construction of Jeffrey Epstein, or at least influenced.
Makes no sense.
quite a few problems with this narrative. The first of these, and possibly the most obvious on its face, is just the general issue of psychological projection when it comes to who is pushing the culture war. Neo-Marxists
Yeah, neo-Marxists are just complete liars, and also Whoosh is just completely projecting. He is guilty of the thing that he claims other people are.
have been invading our media institutions for over 50 years and using their positions they gained to push ideological propaganda. People in total noobs to online political and mail. You don't actually know for sure if it's true. In fact, a very good possibility is that this is just some